So we have a lot of business owners that watch the program. What would be your advice in terms of where they start? I mean, right now, a business is just getting started. It's all about generating revenue. At the same time, they need to be focused on planning for the future. What's the foundation, block number one, where someone starts?
I think it's education. So I think about this. I studied business at ODU, Old Dominion, and I have a business degree in management, and I also took marketing and finance, which marketing at the time was not Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Google AdWords and all that good stuff that exists today. That was my education 15 years ago. So when I decided to open an escape room business in 2015, I actually went to, I believe, the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce. They had a Saturday class on starting a business. Now, keep in mind, I started a business before with opening my financial planning business. Zack's going to touch on this. I invested in a cafe at the YMCA that lost me a boatload of money. I have opened businesses before. I did the textbook way of understanding and learning about business plans. Yet when I was ready to open a business, again, I actually went back to the basics, and I went to, I don't know if it was a small business development center or if it was through the chamber, but there was a class I went to on a Saturday, I paid $20 for, and everything that they said was basic elementary stuff when it comes to starting a business. But for me, it just kind of put me back and took a humble approach of, yes, I've done this before, but let me just take a step back because I'm now starting this new business in a different way, so that I could just take a step back and just really just try to understand from the standpoint of, I am new at this again. So that's kind of, I want to be a student of business and education, and I wanted to sit on that side of the table of just learning first. In that case, I was learning again.
So the textbook way, is it fair to say the textbook way doesn't really help in a lot of these things because you kind of just have to experience it? And so like, I always tell people, like, if you've never hired someone, you can't just look at a checklist. If you've never fired someone, you can't just look at a checklist. The checklist doesn't say anything about emotions, right? The checklist doesn't tell you all these other things that you're going to have to experience that, and maybe there are checklists out there that do it, but I've never seen one that actually says, oh, by the way, when you let someone go, it's going to be really freaking emotional and you might cry. So here's all these other things that you have to do. And the same, like, so what is it about the way of the traditional taught textbook way of business that you can capitalize on and use, but then where in the equation is like, you just gotta open the doors yourself and figure it out?
Yeah, when you're in school and they tell you this is how you start a business, and here's revenue, here's expenses, here's all the different costs that you have to incur, and here's when you should continue operating your business at a loss, and here's where you actually just close your business. I mean, all these different things you'll learn in a professor that will talk about these things, and hopefully in the educational world today, when they're teaching entrepreneurship and they're teaching business, hopefully a lot of these people that are teaching these things come from experience so that you can hear these stories. Yes, there's a textbook way of learning things, and then really at the end of the day, you just got to go out there and do it. You have to experience it. And sometimes you have to have a bunch of failures so that you can understand and really see things from that perspective of making changes that will be impactful in your business. So yeah, so I went back, I studied business, I went back and took a class, and then from there, I just experienced things. So when I opened my escape room business and I hired my general manager, Kristen, I told her, I said, I've started a business before, and I've had some successful ones, and then I've had one that failed, which is where I met her at the cafe. And I said, we're going to skid our knees on this together. We're going to figure this out together. We're going to laugh, cry, figure stuff out, hug each other, and we're going to have a lot of successes. But at the same time, we're also going to have some failures along the way, which is going to help us both learn.